Okay, so a couple things here. First of all, if possible, if you don't have your screen on, can you turn it on? It just creates so much more of a better meeting when we can see each other, interact with each other. Now, if you're at a place where you can't, then hey, don't worry about it. It's all good. But if all possible, if you can, that helps our 45 minutes, actually 40 minutes now. It's going to be a lot more enjoyable, I think, for all of us here. A couple other things here is many of you have your volunteer days coming up here this spring, and some are later in the year as well. We just want to let you know, Danielle and I, we're here for you. Like we want to help you, hold your hand, whatever we got to do to help you be successful. We're here for you. So even after today's call, we're going to stay on as long as needed to answer questions and just walk you through whatever you need walk through because we want to be there for you here. I want to invite you all. What we're calling this thing is Experience Love Our City. So every year for the past, I don't know, man, 8 years or something like that, we've invited cities, all over who are interested in having a community-wide volunteer day. Maybe they already have one, so they just want to see another example, or maybe they're just a new city or one interested in having a community-wide volunteer day. We invite them to come to Modesto, California, where it's not dusty yet in April, so it's still green in April. But let me show you if I can. Where's my share? There it is. So here's kind of a quick overview what this is this weekend. Some of you already have if you have a volunteer day that weekend, obviously you can't come. But if you don't, it's just a 23-hour experience. And Friday, 3 p.m. and we do a little tour, have dinner, and then Saturday we got a breakfast, and then you can experience Love Modesto. Or if you're a smaller city, we got other really thriving smaller cities around here that are having amazing kickoff parties too, and projects that you can go to see them. And then we have a debrief time, a lunch time. So it's a quick experience. If you just get here and you have to pay half your hotel, we pay the other half is already taken care of. And then we take care of everything else. And right now we've got about, last count was 23 people that are interested in coming. Many of them already confirmed. Columbus, Ohio, Boston, Massachusetts, um, uh, Calgary, Alberta is interested. Hanoi, Vietnam is confirmed. It's crazy. People are coming from all over. Katie, you were here last year, and some of you have already been here before. But we would just love to entertain you and just give you just the best experience. There's one thing to talk about, it's another thing to see it. Today, so by the way, if you can just get back with me this week, March 15th is going to be the D-Day. We need to have that date plan, have everyone confirmed by then. But this week, if you're interested or if you have more questions, I can answer those as well. Today, our topic is planning the best kickoff party experience. Okay, so what I want to do before we dive into it, kind of show you, give you a taste of what happens here in Modesto. And let me see here. Come on, Jeff. There we go. And to lead into kind of this topic for the day, you're going to hear from others what their day looks like. But this will just give you guys some practical ideas, maybe of what you could do in your city. So, for example, like a photo booth, with a backdrop. You see some sign. Everyone sees these photos, right? Photos. Okay, so some, your project signs and sponsors maybe below the signs. An information tent. Um, we have a DJ and dancing, all those little fun wedding kind of dances, that happen. A crowd, free hugs. We got all these grandmas that have these free hug signs, and it's been really cool. Some good signage so everyone knows where things are at. You see in the side here, you've got all the project signs all lined up there so people know where to go to meet their project leader. Um, some merch. A big radio station brings their things out. Here's the crowd of people. Having great vendors that aren't just giving out flyers for their program, but vendors that would appeal to volunteers. So here's like a rescue, bringing dogs, to get adopted that day. Here's another vendor, just something meaningful. Before I die, writing your thoughts. Organization does that. There's your free hugs, some cornhole. There's those project signs. so people know what project they signed up for to go meet by there. The sheriff brings the helicopter out, takes photos and video, mascots, there's the crowd, pancake breakfast. Here's kind of like what a stage might look like, having your big title up top, having all your sponsors, your big sponsors up top, and then your smaller sponsors down below. Here's a couple, our MCs for the morning. Yeah, sorry, got more people coming in here. Then, come on, Jeff. The police come out, there's equestrian, all their police cars and fire trucks and our greeters, more people, shooting from the stage, the t-shirts out into the crowd. Yeah, fruit, local grocery store brings out fruit. There's the animal shelter. Football team, $500 cash, a bank gave away to a lucky winner. Children's Museum. Just getting a quick overview here. Here's kind of a fun, I don't know if this will go through, but from the stage. There's something about throwing t-shirts from the stage. And we have also these red heart squeezy balls that get thrown out as well. So that just gives you a quick idea of kind of what a downtown or a whatever your kickoff party can look like here. So I'm going to turn over to Danielle, and we've got some others that are going to share, and we're going to have some fun here this morning, interacting and just sharing ideas with each other so we can all be successful in how we kick off our volunteer day. Take it away.
Yeah. Yes. Hey, I wanted and this is kind of all enveloping here with the Lover Cities Experience Day. I'm just gonna make a quick note. That is like the reason that Love Snoqualmie Valley even exists. Like it was our leader went down there and saw it and was like, I need to do this at home. And so that's kind of like my very small plug to being able to see it with your own eyes and understand like the actual, oh, that's how you do that and this is how you do that, right? And the pictures are great and it's very helpful to see pictures, but at the same time like just walking the grounds on your own is such just a better experience, hence the name. So that's my small 30-second plug to, if you've not done an experience or are just want to come and see it yourself, do it. Email Jeff, do it. So yes, so we are talking about kickoffs to this morning. And we're gonna have some discussion with a few other city leaders on here and how they do it, why they do it the way they do it, and kind of what works for them, what doesn't work for them, all in hopes that it helps every other city leader. Because I mean, every city's different. We know that. So what works in one city might not work for another, but at the very least it helps, get the creativity flowing and you start understanding and seeing like, oh, that's how they did it. And like Jeff said, I mean, there's smaller cities and larger cities and that makes a huge difference too. I live not in Anaheim. Like I live in a small area, and so what works for us is very different than other cities. But it all what's amazing about being a city leader is that you know your city. And so what's that is kind of just the you're going to know your city and what works. And so hopefully these conversations help with the creativity and understanding what you can do, but also what works and what doesn't. So I am going to ask a few questions here. We're going to have some time on kickoffs, and then we're actually going to spend a little bit of time on some like post event ideas. So what we've seen in the last probably several years is that a lot of our cities are doing either both, which is wild and crazy. Or they've kind of shifted and realized, you know what, we actually have a lot more success if we do something on the cap end of volunteering. And so, again, it works better for their city. And so learning from that. And so we'll spend some time on each of those uh, ideas. And then after each segment, I'm gonna leave some space for questions. So questions for us or questions for those city leaders that talked. But just making sure that you guys know, hey, we've got space for questions. So write your questions down, and be prepared to ask something, or to see a picture again, or whatever that looks like. Does that sound good? Great. Okay. So I am gonna ask Katie. So she is with Love Midland in Texas, the dusty, dirty, but wonderful Texas. Um, so Midland had their very first volunteer day last year, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And so what's really awesome is we'll get to hear kind of just the ridiculous amount of people that came out and for the first year, but also just kind of I'm hoping to hear like, hey, this is what we ran into our first year and how we kind of problem solved and troubleshooted. And so uh I'm just super pumped and was very impressed by Love Midland, and I think you guys will be too. So I want to talk to Katie about that. And so my first kind of question is, what did you guys find to be successful at your kickoff? Like, what were the specifics that worked well? Um, yeah, like what stood out and people walked away and were like, that's amazing. And you guys are doing it next year or this year.
Absolutely. I want to say first, we did come to Love Modesto last April. And if you are not planning or haven't been, that absolutely made our first day successful. Like they have such an amazing plan already laid out that you can go. And we had several people with us. And so we were able to split up and see everything and go to projects and do all of the things. And so we were able to say, yes, let's do that. No, let's not do that. But it was made it to where our first year was more like a third or fourth year because we were able to learn from everyone else's experiences. For us here, I think anything that we can do that says family friendly, free entertainment, and free breakfast, people will come. Whether they're planning on volunteering, once they get there, they learn about it. They're like, oh, yeah, let's go and do this with our family. Having the jumpers, we had several different places donate breakfast. So we had Rosa's, Taco Villa, Chick-fil-A. So we were able to make breakfast free. And it was also very easy for them to grab their breakfast and go around and see all of we call them our community partners, not vendors, but we set them up to where our information tents were the first thing that they saw, but then they had to walk through our vendors to get to our free stuff. Like we made it to where they had to walk through everything to, of course, everybody wants their free stuff. So they were working their way over there, but they couldn't just get that stuff and go.
You strategically laid it out.
We strategically laid it out. We were going to do information merchandise on both. We were in a football field. As you know, West Texas, we're a football community. Everybody comes out for that. So we got to use our big stadium here in Midland. So a football field is a big space to fill. So we were trying to make it feel full, but even it's like, how do you make it feel like there's a lot of people? Because who knows if you're going to have 200 or 2,000, like you just don't know what your first year is going to be. We had 500 to 700 come to our first kickoff, which was amazing. We did have some community leaders and our superintendent were both here to speak at our event, which is huge. We had lots of activities for the kiddos. We had jumpers. We had a fun 360 photo booth. We had all of our mascots. We have 2 high schools here in town. We have a minor league baseball team. So all the mascots with our Lovey, everybody wants to be a part of that and get their pictures. We did have some projects here. Something we did not count on when we scheduled our date is the Monday after our event was Columbus Day. So school was out, a lot of people were off. And I think that that affected us if it would not have been a holiday weekend, and it will not be this year. I think we would have had even more people than we did last year. So,
Yeah.
um,
So I'm hearing family friendly,
yes,
free things.
yes.
And even, I mean, the strategy around when it is. And for a lot of cities, like you guys, you chose a date and you're sticking to it. Which as the years progress, people will realize, oh, it's the last weekend in April or the first weekend in October. But again, whatever kind of works for your city, the best way. I also love just the integration of like who you guys are. You're a football city, and so you had it in the football stadium, and like I've never been to Midland, but it feels like that's Midland.
Mhm.
And so really just understanding what would work best for your city. And so other than the date and kind of just figuring that out, what do you think didn't work? Like what was something you guys learned and you'll totally just scratch for
I
this upcoming year?
I think there's nothing that we're going to scratch. We're going to try
Okay.
to tweak some things and make them better than they were last
Okay.
year. We only had 2 projects on the field, which the field is huge. We could have 50 projects and be
Yeah. Yeah.
fine. I think we will add more on-site projects that are child-friendly and senior citizen-friendly. Like we have a lot of our
Mm,
seniors that want to be involved, but they can't do the physical projects. And so
yeah. Yeah.
having something for them right there where they don't have to leave location, but they can participate and say that, yes, we were able to love Midland today.
Yeah. That's
Um,
awesome.
I think that's one of the main things that we will do. We did not have a huge stage last year. We thought it was big until you get it on a football field and then it's teeny tiny. We're going to have to get a bigger stage to where everybody can see, everybody can hear.
Yeah.
We didn't use the sound system at the stadium. We had our own person come in. And so stuff like that we'll have to
Yeah.
tweak, but
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that we will take away for this year, just
That's
continue to
awesome.
add.
Yeah.
As far as organization, if you are coming from a church, our team that did kickoff was mostly our kids staff and youth staff. And those people know how to do an event and a party for family friendly. They really ran with it and amazing at organization. There was no questions on the day of to set up. Like everything was organized, everything had maps, everybody had their vests, everyone knew who to ask questions, and they had the answers. So just having that
Mm,
organization was amazing.
yeah. You you leaned into the strengths of the specific people.
Yes, yes,
Which I would say, I mean, for any part of your event, whether it's the kickoff or just the projects or whatever that is if finding the people who are good at that and
yes.
then saying, here you go. Giving them the freedom. Katie, I want to share a picture of the stadium or the football field, just to kind of show everyone. So this is awesome, but like again, just kind of the visual for Midland. So you've got all these bouncers along the sides, and then you guys have your tents and activities and tables. Um, but it's really cool to see how you use that space. And again, maybe this kind of gets the creativity flowing for other people here. This is different than Modesto. Modesto's on a cross street, right? This is just one big open space. And so how you fill that and how you use your resources, it changes things. So that is really awesome. And then sorry, I have lost my Zoom call. What a second. Um, my my last question for you, and then Jay, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, but I want you to talk more on the post event too. Sorry, I'm telling everyone this. But so Katie, how did you feel? Just like, do you feel like the kickoff impacted your volunteers? Like, in how was it unifying? Was it like, this is the thing we absolutely have to do every year? Like, what were your thoughts on it walking away?
Yes, we will definitely do it every year. We are big enough that we have several high schools. We have several things that maybe can split us as a community. But that day, we had everybody here. We had several churches here. The city, we had a big school bond around that time, so there was a lot of people involved in that, maybe for or against. But having the school there, just having our whole community come together, and it didn't matter what group you're a part of, what church you go
Yeah.
to, what high school you belong to. There was actually a football game the night before homecoming. So there was a rival the night
Oh.
before our event. And then that morning, just everybody coming together. And that's at our after event survey. That's what everybody enjoyed, was just coming together and just really, I mean, basically, we described it as, this is just a pep rally for our day. We're just going to hang out, have community, and just have fun together before we go and
Yeah,
serve. And so I definitely think people enjoy it, and people will look forward to that for this year.
that's awesome. Cool. Um, Thank you for sharing. You
Yes,
guys
thank
are
you.
rocking it, killing it.
Aw,
Um,
thank you.
Jay, so Jay gets wild and he does both. And so he does a pre-event and a post-event. This is not the expectation of everyone else. But if you got it, if you have the team, if you have the resources, I think there's huge benefits to it. So Jay, I want to ask you specifically, you do have both. So why do you do both a kickoff in the morning and an event at the end? Like, why do you think that works so well for you guys?
Good morning, everybody. That's a great question. So 12 years ago, we took a road trip and we went to Modesto. I had been doing volunteer days as one church doing stuff in the city for a long time prior to that, but I'd never done a big kickoff event. So it was great. It was a great vision trip for us. So I just echo what else has been shared, the importance of going there and seeing that. The guy that I traveled with was our former chief of police, and we really didn't know each other. So we made a trip to Modesto. It was like a 6 hour drive for us, and we got to know each other. And on our way back, we basically planned our first event. And and for us, what led to doing the after party is we had a vendor, we had a restaurant owner that was in town that said, "Yeah, we'll serve lunch for 5,000 people." And so we're like, whoa, okay. So so we kind of when we started out with just our city, but we really quickly grew to surround 6 surrounding cities right around in our area, and and down here in Southern California, all the cities just kind of blend in together. So when we first started, at our after party was all the cities come together. The individual cities all had their own kickoff event, but the after party was kind of all of us were together at one venue at a college campus initially. So it just worked great for that. But now, believe it or not, most the cities all do their own after party lunch because I think the biggest part is we've just got vendors that want to show up and provide lunch. So we really don't. It's not a. We don't make a big deal out. We don't do a big program with it. We have lunch and we have music playing and we do like we have booths that vendors from all the different nonprofits show up at, and they're having handing out giveaways, and and then really it's kind of just promoting their organization's work, which is kind of what's behind Volunteer Central, is trying to give this audience a chance to know what are the opportunities to serve throughout the year in our city. And
Yeah.
so they're there, and we do giveaways with that, but mostly it's just come and get lunch and then leave when you want. So
Yeah. So it seems like the lunch came more out of someone saying this is something they want to give, and you realizing, well, all right, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and when we originally started, we were slow. We had a location downtown for our kickoff, and then we were going to the college for our after party. And then after realizing what a pain that was to set up for two places, we said, well, let's do them both at the same place. So we now do both events at the same location. So it's much simpler. So it's not like we're setting up for another venue, and it's pretty easy to host the after party thing for us.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
and
does your
and people are motivated to when they finish at 12:30, they're over there ready to get their free food.
yeah.
And yeah, emphasis on free, that seems to do well. We probably have like 4 or 5 different options that people can get.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
That's really cool. So so it being in the same location, do they look as far as like the map of your kickoff and post event, they look very similar? Like you've got the nonprofits there. It's essentially kind of same feel.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
No,
so
that's
we're in a little
awesome.
quad. It's a beautiful campus where
Yeah,
it's got a big quad, and so the food's kind of scattered around the area so people can go to their thing.
that's really awesome.
We use wristbands so that everybody doesn't try to hit all 4 options, and then we run out of food. So we have to try to monitor that a little bit,
Yep.
but
Yep.
but other than that, it seems like it's been great.
That's awesome. I think the simplicity of not trying to do two different locations, not trying to pull off essentially two events, like that's huge. And so
Yeah.
that's really cool. Okay, I'm gonna pause here and open up the floor for any questions that you all may have as far as kickoffs, what worked, what didn't, where do you find all these jump houses, like things like that. Does anyone have any questions so far? I think we got something in the chat.
Yeah, I just put one in the chat box, Jay. That's a huge expense for a restaurant to feed a couple thousand people or more. Do your business sponsors reimburse them at all or give them a donation in appreciation for their generosity, or is that just the goodness of their hearts?
Well, the one particular one, it's not quite as impressive as you would think. So he has like 3 businesses in the city, but he does hot dogs, and then he had chips and he had soda. So the expense to him was not a huge expense to do hot dogs and buns and chips. So it's yeah. So that explained
A
why he was
cheaper
saying,
lunch.
hey, he was saying I could do 5,000. And they were good hot dogs. They weren't just like the little cheap ones. So they were big hot dogs and good. But yeah, so it's not super expensive for them. But we do have other restaurants that have come and made tacos. I mean, some of those and they were really generous. So
Yeah. I've also heard some, I cannot remember which city does it, but they're like the fire department makes burgers and hot dogs. And that is kind of just the expense that the department takes on. And I don't know the details of like reimbursement or sponsorship or anything like that, but I'm assuming just kind of a sponsorship by the fire department. So again, just kind of what works for your city, or maybe, there's a vendor or a restaurant who says, yeah, I can do that easily. So that's really cool. Anyone else?
I don't have
we
a,
also list everybody as in-kind sponsors. So even though they're not donating money, they are making a
Yep.
donation, and we still value it with our other sponsorship levels. So we have
Yeah.
a significant number of in-kind donations for this event, for our event.
Yep. Yeah, that's huge because that gets on your website and on the flyers and whatnot. And so that alone is is support to them. Yeah. Joetta, did you have a question?
I just had a comment because we are very close to J City, and we try to plan our days on the same day so that we then can join in the after party. And it is super fun to see all the different cities that are doing the same day come to the after party.
Yeah.
See all the shirts, and we talk about the projects, and so it brings cities together as well as singular cities together.
Mhm.
It's fun.
Mhm.
It's really fun.
Yeah, totally. And I love the collaboration that you guys have, you know, and realize like Joetta, you're like, I don't want to plan an after party, but we can send our people there, like, and Jay being willing to facilitate that, and yeah,
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's just, especially if you're all doing your volunteer day on the same day, right? It's bonding for all the volunteers, and they know they can come and have lunch. Yeah, it's really fun.
yeah, that's really cool. There's another question, Sammy, you put out there on everyone purchasing t-shirts for your volunteers. I'm gonna I'll just have Joetta and Jay, because I know you guys, I think you do t-shirts. What are your answers on that? Do you guys purchase t-shirts for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do. So I think one of the first things when we came down and saw it, and for me, we did our event as a one church for a long time, and we funded the whole thing. And all of a sudden, when we first started, and our local hospital said, "Hey, we want to give you money," and Kimberly Clark, a local business, "Hey, we want to give you money," and so we just realized part of what we were going to do is give out the free t-shirts. So that's a big draw. That's why we get people there in the morning. They want their t-shirts, and they come with they come with signed waivers, and that's how they get their t-shirts. And so I think that's the big draw why they all come to a place, because we try to not give them out before as much as possible.
Another free thing to
Yeah.
echo what Katie said, right?
Same for us. We buy t-shirts for all the volunteers, and they come with their waivers signed, and then they get a wristband, and then that wristband allows them to get their shirt and get their free breakfast. And it's a very popular morning.
Yeah.
People wait anxiously. We already have people like, what color are our t-shirts this year? So
you guys change the look of them every year.
the logo's the same, the color is different. We try to do different. Yeah.
Okay. Now I've heard that, like, some people will wear their OG t-shirt, like, and it's the cool thing. And I know, I think it's Oakdale, correct me if
Yes.
I'm wrong. But Oakdale does like a
They do a contest.
Yes, they do the contest for
Yeah.
the design that year, and then that
Yes.
person, wins the t-shirt design. And I think that really allows for really cool engagement on just everything. Oh, yeah, Savannah answered. Yeah, and so again, I think it's just the creativity of it all, and what will get people there, but also how to get people engaged. And so free things for sure, vendors, food, t-shirts, but then kind of just to back what I've heard so far is just this sense of unity. So both on the front end and the cap end is just being able to see everyone there, and see, hey, I'm going to volunteer with you later, or I just did, and here, let's sit down together and have lunch. It seems like such a simple idea, but it has such a huge impact. And so that is what I've always seen to be a huge benefit. Okay. Are there any more questions? It is almost 8:40. So I want to leave some space for any questions, any comments. Maybe you feel like you do a really great kickoff or post event, and you just want to share your thoughts as well. But I'll open the space.
Any best tips for getting those waivers signed the day of? And then for groups of people, best tips for getting those groups signed up ahead of the kickoff event?
Well, so if somebody signs up online, their waiver, they have to sign their waiver in order to sign up. But as far as like walk-ons, which I know a lot of cities have, is we kind of recommend just having printed out waivers as well at your project site tables. And that way, if they're not on the list and they're a walk-in, then they just have to sign the waiver, the paper copy, and then they can sign up for the project. And that's kind of same feel with any like anonymous group. And so a group of, I don't know, just a group of people wants to sign up, and they can have, as long as your anonymous is turned on for that project, then they can sign up a group. But same idea is having the printed out waivers at that project table, and that way they check in with their leader and they can't move on until that waiver is signed. Does anyone else have a different way that they do that?
So
I have
what
a
I'm
quick
doing is I'm volunteering for different events around the community. And while I'm at that event, I have them complete the like interest form on our website. And so what that does is that will send me an email, and then I can go back and send them a waiver form, especially with like teenagers who maybe are like at a job fair or at an event without their parents because they're underage. I can't sign them up as a volunteer right then and there. But what I can do is capture their contact information so I can send them the waiver later on to have their parents signed, and then they can either email it back to me with their t-shirt size, or they can bring it with them the day of.
Okay. Yeah. That is definitely a way to do that. Talene, what do you guys do in Roseville?
I actually had a quick question about, you said if we do anonymous, groups can sign up, which I believe that's that option is clicked on all of our projects. My question is, like, let's say someone signs up 5 people with them. Are they signing the waiver for all 5 of those people, or do we then have to track down those 4 others that didn't technically sign the waiver?
So they are not signing it for the group. They are signing it for themselves. And then in that, the group of people with them would come to the project leader and have them and that group of people who were in the anonymous section would fill out the waiver, the paper waiver.
Okay. Yeah. Last year we did paper because I couldn't figure it out on the website, like to put our waiver there, but we're going to try again this year. And you provided some tips for us, but it was a little bit of a nightmare. So this year we'll be a little bit more prepared if we do the paper again.
Yeah.
And
Danielle,
we always do the paper. We always do the printed copies, and partially that's because people will come and they want their shirt, and so they have to come with their waivers signed, or we have printed copies signed there. Our project leaders also have printed copies of the waivers, so if somebody doesn't go to the kickoff but they just show up at the party, they can sign the waiver there. But that's how they get their wristband, and then their wristband gets them the shirt and the rest of the free stuff. So that works.
You've got an order.
Yeah, it works. It works for us, and people are
Yeah.
used to it. And so because we get the electronic signature part, but that doesn't mean that we know that someone that shows up the day of actually signed their waiver. So it just makes it easier for the day of process.
I've got a couple closing thoughts before we end here soon.
I know Sarah had a question too, Jeff, or a
Okay.
comment.
Sarah, go for it.
Real quick, just for the anonymous stuff, just how we do it, because we've had the first year we did that, and then they reserved 10 spaces and only 3 people showed up. And then it blocked out those spaces where they weren't allowed to, the public couldn't get them because they were filled. So we always do a disclaimer in the project. And then we follow up with those people once that registration has come in, that we need a list of those names by a specific date, or those spaces are going to be released to the public. Just food for thought.
That is super smart.
Very smart. Another thing
It's-
about anonymous too is you don't get people's contact information. And so it's super important that we can communicate with as many people as possible. So there's pros and cons to the anonymous, but certainly we've had a problem before too. Someone signed up 20 people and that person didn't show up, and then that project was high and dry on that day. Kickoff. Should have shared from the beginning about this. Why do you even do a kickoff? Traditionally, you just go to project locations, right? But there's something about the city coming together. There's something about the unity of people who might have different political views and different backgrounds and beliefs. And it's just something amazing and beautiful about when a city can come together and how to kick off the day. It's super inspiring and it's super fun. And it gets, man, everybody in the best mood to go out to volunteer. The after party, if I've got someone that says, I want to donate 5,000 lunches, I'm in, too. I get that. I never had that. I think location is really big too. Like a lot of your cities, if you're in a park location, you got playground equipment nearby. It's just fun to have that. Our city, we're in downtown, streets blocked off. There's nothing really to do, for kids and families to come afterwards. And it's really hot on, the blacktop too. So it's something to think about. We like Raising Cane's this year, they're going to be donating like 400 lunches. And so basically it's individual projects. Like if individually, like we encourage our project leaders, if you want to have lunch afterwards, that's so cool. You volunteer together. If you can work out someone to provide lunch or do hot dogs or whatever, that's a total win. So there is something cool about volunteering together and then eating together afterwards, however you do it. T-shirts. We used to give away free t-shirts and I love doing that. They're so much more expensive now than they used to be a few years ago. That's one issue. If you can do it, man, it is a total win. We've been selling them and trying to recoup some costs there because our bill's about 20 grand. It's like, wow, what we could do with 20 grand. And I don't feel like we've gotten a big drop off. I think maybe some, but there's pros and each one of these issues. You just got to wrestle with as your city. What is best for you guys? And I trust you guys will come up with a great plan here. All right, we're going to close here. If you want to stay after the call, Danielle and I will be on and help you answer any questions you have. But I really hope today was super encouraging and inspiring, and you can't wait to pull off your kickoff party here this year. All right, guys, have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.